When you think about pets or animals in general, you probably don't think much about navigation. But actually, the planet is filled with creatures other than ourselves that navigate in ways that are mind-blowing. Zed, this little guy, has his own tricks we'll get to at the end of the video, so stick around. But other animals do use crazy methods, from quantum physics to watching the stars that we're going to talk about. First off, we're going to talk about why dung beetles don't wear hats. In the deserts of Africa, dung beetles, yes, dung beetles, perform a nightly ritual that seems pretty much impossible. These little guys roll perfectly straight balls of dung across really difficult terrain, and they do it using the Milky Way. So this was demonstrated by a team at Lund University in Sweden with a really awesome study. The researchers put tiny paper hats on the beetles. This blocked their view of the sky, and it ended up that the insects became a lot less accurate in their path. They couldn't roll straight lines. But when the night sky was visible, they could maintain that perfectly straight line because they're using that bright band of the Milky Way as a guide. So it's even more amazing because the dung beetles are actually the first non-human animal proven to navigate using the galaxy as a reference point. They're using like the cosmic equivalent of a compass while just rolling a big old ball of dung. Next, robins and quantum entanglement. So we're going to go right into the quantum world. Now, barely anybody actually understands quantum physics, but it hasn't stopped different species of animals from actually using it for navigation. This mainly happens with birds, especially birds that travel really long distances around the world in migration paths. Even the plain old European robin is using quantum physics. See, in the robin's eye, there's a special protein called the cryptochrome. Scientists theorize that this protein interacts with the Earth's magnetic field through quantum entanglement. Basically, when light is absorbed, the protein splits the molecules into separate pairs that form a radical pair together. The two parts of this radical pair are entangled at the quantum level, meaning that the spin of one, which can be influenced by a magnetic field as sensitive as the Earth, can influence the spin of the other and then cause chemical reactions that provide information to the navigating animal. Long story short, the robin can actually, in a way, see the magnetic fields of the Earth with quantum level sensitivity, which lets them navigate along these magnetic lines with such precision. To test this, researchers exposed robins to radio frequencies that would match the energy splitting of the electrons in the cryptochrome molecules. The oscillating magnetic field scrambled the quantum states of the electrons, preventing them from maintaining the coherence that they needed to detect the Earth's magnetic field. They basically made electromagnetic noise that interfered with the bird's natural quantum compass, and then the robins had trouble navigating, like their GPS system went offline. Let's go into octopuses. See, there's a bit of a bias in the world that only vertebrates like ourselves could be intelligent, but octopuses, of course, completely shatter that. And their ability to navigate is remarkably similar to our way of navigation. They build mental maps, they use memory, and they recognize landscape, but with a difference. They do it with their arms. 2/3 of octopus neurons are located in their arms, so they process spatial information differently. They feel their way around. When put into a maze with a complex opaque structure that prevented the octopus from seeing clearly, it explored by extending its arms and eventually found a hidden exit. On later trials, the octopus could recall and recreate exactly the muscle movements needed that it used before. And if part of the maze was changed, it would still remember the other parts that were the same and then just adapt to the new ones. See, we use our eyes mainly when we're navigating. Octopuses use touch. They build that blueprint from the twists and turns of their arms. They got all 8 limbs thinking on their own, so their brain that's actually still in their head can focus on the big picture. On to butterflies. Monarch butterflies do one of the most incredible migrations in the animal kingdom, a journey spanning thousands of miles with perfect accuracy. Researchers at the University of Massachusetts discovered that monarchs don't just fly randomly. They use an internal sun compass that adjusts for the time of day. So they watch the sun, but they also have a clock that tells them which direction they need to travel relative to it. That lets them maintain a consistent trajectory during their migration all the way from Canada to a specific place in Mexico. What researchers did to test this was conducted an experiment where they manipulated the internal clocks of the monarchs by exposing them to artificial light cycles that were shifted from natural patterns. When released, the butterflies flew off in totally wrong directions because their internal circadian clocks were misaligned with the actual time of day. Monarchs normally are continuously recalibrating this compass. It's like they have a biological GPS that updates the coordinates based on little changes in daylight and solar position. So we're going back to the Sahara, where these ants have learned a technique that just blows my mind. They tracked their exact location by literally counting their steps. Researchers didn't know how they were navigating so well and how to travel and recall exactly where they could go, so they did an ingenious experiment. They surgically shortened some ants' legs with little stilts and lengthened others with pig bristles. The ants with shortened legs didn't reach their destination because normally they'd need more steps to cover the same distance, and those with long legs overshot because they covered more ground with every step. So this proved the ants weren't measuring distance through time or visual cues or scent, but were actually counting their steps. It's crazy that they can do that in places that most organisms struggle to survive at all, let alone navigate. So those are just 5 quick facts I thought you might like to hear, but there's a lot more of Animal Navigator. So if you like this kind of video, let me know and I'll make some more of them. As for my cat, I promised you a little cat fact, but the fact is that cats are actually a mystery. They use a combination of hearing, scent, visual cues, the sun, and maybe even the internal magnet thing like the robin. But what's for sure is they have an ability to find home that's really uncanny. There are dozens or hundreds of stories out there about cats who have found home after being lost many miles away in other territory. In 2013, Holly the cat walked over 200 miles home to Florida after the family lost her. Another, Howie, went over 1,000 miles over the Australian outback to find home. I don't know if it's magnetism. I think cats have a bit of magic, but like so many parts of cat behavior, they're still a mystery. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one. Oh, buddy.